Hello, and welcome to Chatting Shit about why Devon is shit and the new cup, the Ascension Cup. It's been 6 months. I don't really think we've had anything worth talking about in that time. So, Dan, how are you?
Yeah, I'm really good. I'm really good. I'm really good. I'm always the glass half full to Matt's glass half empty. Um, but there's been times over the last 6 months that I've even struggled entering a tournament, and that's because I don't want to blame it all on the player base. I don't want to just blame it all on Devon, but I think Devon has lent itself to cater to a certain style of play, and that hasn't really sparked joy.
I think that's a good way of putting it. Like, I'm sure there are plenty of people that enjoy the Devon metas, or that would enjoy the Devon metas. I just feel like, unfortunately, those people aren't the people that are playing Devon.
No,
Um, and I think this cup shows the level of, well, I don't know, maybe you know more than me or have more insights than me, but I just feel like this cup shows the amount of effort that even Devon are willing to put in now. Um, like, it's just like, why should I care as a player if this cup just screams I don't give a shit about you from Devon, like even down to the graphic, right? Uh,
yeah, I knew we were going to get on the graphic.
like I don't know. I don't like criticizing people's like I did a lot of the graphics for Sylph for the last couple of seasons, and so it's not nice having to criticize. I'm sure I did things that people could have improved and done better. So, but yeah, I
I
just
don't
feel
know.
like,
I actually think the last 2 years of Sylph, the graphics were really good, and I think you did a really good job on it.
oh well, thank
Um,
you. But yeah, I just think the amount of, yeah, I just saw that, and even before I looked at what the types were like, I was like, Christ, this looks dull. Yeah.
I think sometimes though, and I do get where you're coming from. I do get where you're coming from, but I think sometimes because it is basic, as basic as basic comes. Um, some if you look at it as like, okay, we're going to go back to basics and go back to the love, go back to the joy. I think I called the tournament. Is this Sylph season one? Because we all had fun in Boulder Cup. You know,
Hmm.
yes, it was new. Yes, it was different. Yes, there was a lot less Pokemon to play with, so the variance wasn't there as much and things. But yeah, so you could look at it from that perspective. And when I talked about the player base that Devon sort of has at the moment, I look through that leaderboard and it's scary. I mean, it's not.
Where am I these days?
You're number 32.
After having not played in 2.5 months.
Yeah, you're number 32. You're number 32. There are some, players close to heart that are in the top 10. There are two players in the top 10 who I would consider personal friends. Do you know what I mean? One of them I'd actually consider a very good friend. Do you know what I
Mhm.
mean? And but yeah, it's gone are the days when there's Fee Tenacity and Nessa Besson and yourself fighting out at the top of the leaderboard to see who is supreme.
See, from my perspective, right? They're like, I'm a competitive person. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. If I'm not being the best at it or close to it, there's no point in me doing it, right? Unless I really enjoy it. And I don't really enjoy Devon. So I'd have to be, for me to really get into it, I'd have to feel like I had the chance of being the best possible at it. But even if I was number one on the Devon leaderboard, what does that mean? Diddly shit, because how many of the best players in the world play Devon now? Like, how many people in that top 100 of Devon would make it to a day two NIAC or something like that?
Oh, there's a couple. There's a couple.
Yeah,
There's
but
a couple on
that's,
there. There is genuinely a couple on there. And as I said, I have a close personal friend in the top 10. You have a close personal friend in the top 10. And I always think that it is. dickish mistakes why he doesn't get to the second day of any sort of, because honestly, I genuinely believe that Aaron is one of the best battlers out there. He's just prone to making dickish mistakes or like really overthinking things and stuff like
Unless he's playing me, obviously.
that. So and Ryan's in the top. Ryan's in the top 100. Ryan's
Okay.
in the top 50, and Ryan made day two.
Okay.
So let's not forget that there are players in there who
No,
can,
there
but
are, but then when you compare
but
that to even the
Ryan
last season of
Ryan is the
Sylph,
example of that. Is the fact that he's dropped off and doesn't care that much.
mm,
Ryan is possibly similar to yourself. There's that little bit of competitiveness in him, and he's a very good battler. But he ain't in the top 10 because he ain't trying.
mm.
You know.
Yeah, but this is it, right? Like when you compare that top 100 to even the last season of Sylph, like there's no comparison really, is there? Like, I don't know, but
What should we get all last season of Sylph in a room and all Devon in a room and they have a big fight and we see who wins?
yeah, take out everyone who's in both, and then isn't like Adeli in like top 20 or something in Devon?
I don't think he is.
Okay,
I don't think he is, but he's up there and his defense, like he doesn't play
no.
at all, and that's
Well,
that's a sign of the times.
he's missed to play Pokemon now, isn't he? So
Yeah, but that is the signs that the people at the you look at the three people who are at the top of Devon,
mm,
they don't really play it. As I'm not trying to big you up or anything like that, but the last season of Sylph, the last two seasons of Sylph, you were the man. I know
well,
there was people above you in the structure and things like that, but for in a lot of sense of person, for the battling community, you were really sort of holding it all together. Um, a one off, you were
well,
that trying,
as much as anyone else was, yeah, for sure.
but you played every month.
Yeah, but
You played it. You played in Spice Nights. You
yeah,
know what I mean? Where we it was like purposely, hey, I'm just going to throw a team together and lose,
yeah. But this is it,
and it's
right?
going to be ranked,
So
and I'm not going to care.
there was that big gap between there's like a big 8 month gap between season 4 and season 5 of Sylph, right?
Mm,
And Sylph got a lot of criticism from the player base of like, oh well, they've stopped caring and or what have you. Then it came back with people that did care, such as myself, right? I was very lightly involved in season 4, very heavily involved in season 5. Um, and some of the people criticising Sylph at the time of season 4 going into season 5 for not caring are running Devon. And look how little of a shit they give, right?
mm.
So I do find it quite funny. Uh, but
You say we say all this, and I go back to the harping on about um, this cup could be good because of its limitedness, because of actually not giving a shit, because of the elements of that. And I go back to a conversation that me and you had the other week. You could win this. You could realistically, right now, where you stand, you have a ticket to Worlds, so you can't lose that ticket to Worlds. It is yours to accept. I know there's 125 players that are going into Worlds.
right,
So that top 125 players plus the top four from Gym Breakers,
right.
no, sorry, plus the winners of the Battle Towers
Mm-hmm.
and the top two, I think, from Gym Breakers are all going into Worlds.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
So I know that.
Okay.
Um, you have that privilege. And realistically, you could go into this and win it. You could actually, with this month, because of the meta that it suits a certain type of player. You could do really well in this meta. Really meta. The reason I say this is because people don't know this, but you are very, very good at maths.
I
Do you know
am.
what I mean? You're extremely good at maths. You have the capacity to learn. So if you put your efforts to it, you could learn their move counts very quickly and very easily. Maybe not easily, but very quickly. You could actually
See,
build that up. You know
see,
what I mean? With a bit of practice.
I could hear because there's only about 12 months, so I could hear.
And let's be facing it. You know, this has been one of the problems with Devon all the way through it. There's only been 12 months.
Mm.
Let's be honest. At least they're being transparent about it now and not pretending that you need. You can just pick three. Um, you could go into this and win it. You could go into this and become champion.
Wait, is this going to be the world's meta?
This isn't the world's meta. This isn't.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is, you could go into this, do well, get yourself within the top 10. That gives you a better seeding place
Oh, I see what you're saying.
because it is going to be seeded.
Okay.
Um,
I'd still then
and
have
that
to play in worlds.
you still have to then play well in Worlds.
Yeah.
But all I'm saying is that the style, one of the things that frustrates me so much about Devon tournaments, and it's probably why I missed do you know what, I'm going to take part in 10, 15 tournaments per month and try and touch as many communities as I can, both physically and metaphorically, has dropped off is because, and I say sweaty tryhards. It's not the sweaty tryhards that I was used to. The sweaty tryhards that I was used to in the Silph
Mm.
days were people who were like you, like Ryan. I could name other people.
We'd
Jan
go to
Solo.
we'd go to
People,
tournaments and talk to people. Like,
yeah.
yeah.
But you would also learn it, and it wouldn't matter if I was playing with a Grimer, or I was playing with a Talonflame, or
Mm.
I was playing with any Pokemon. You would know the move counts, you'd understand it. Do you know what
Yeah.
I mean? Because you were that much of a sweaty tryhard that you'd learn everything,
Yeah.
the whole game, all the Pokemon, not just the top five of that month.
Mm.
And that's some of the problems that I find is that there is no variance, there is no spice, there is no. It's pick the top three Pokemons on PB Poke and any old random shit just so you can get your spice score up. And that for me is challenging because I want to use fucking Hawlucha. Do you know what I mean? I want to. But back in the day, it used to be Pachirisu. I'd get every
Mm.
chance I'd use Pachirisu I could. Um, I'd want to use Chespin. I'd want to use Pikachu Libra. I'd want to use stupid stuff. And you can't do that in Devon.
No.
You can't do that in Devon because 80% of the teams are the three mons in common all the way
So
through it, if not five mons in common.
so on that, before we talk about, as we are at some point going to talk about things we like about what some ones we like here. So on that then, so you're saying this might suit me because there aren't going to be three of the same ones in every team. Am I on the right line there?
I'm just going to say just going to be really transparent, and I think it is actually going to be a very, very level playing field. I don't think you're going to have the variance whether you like it or not. And your six mons that you're going to have on
Mm.
your team are all going to do exactly the same fucking thing. There is no surprises.
Yeah.
I'd like to think I do my research for chatting shit because one, I like talking to you, Mark, because I find it entertaining. You're not only my friend, but you're somebody who I respect as far as what we play with the game and stuff like that. And I like people who actually understand it, and
Mm.
it makes me, and I think you understand my joy from it.
I think
Of
so. Yeah.
Yeah, of what I enjoy about it. So yeah, I have tried to be fun with it, and I've tried to do some research because I don't think it's going to be that bad. I think the game is what you make it.
I actually agree, and I think this cup might suit me because it feels like it's one of those. So do you know how GBL does Psychic Cup?
Yes.
And typically the way to play Psychic Cup is to play like Malamar and Victini super aggressively. That's what I enjoy doing, and I feel like I'm better when I'm playing aggressively.
Yeah, because you're an asshole.
whereas I feel, whereas I feel like most of the Devon Cups, it's like, okay, pick these four normal types and a water and a poison, and they'll all just sit there for 10 minutes and chip each other down really slowly, and that's not me. That's not me at all. So I have hope for that reason for this. However, I'm really struggling to see any reason not to use either Ninetales or Pachirisu in this. Like, can you get like Ninetales in particular? Actually, I can sort of make an argument for not using Pachirisu later on, but Can you give me an argument against either of those two?
No,
Okay. Well, that's promising.
I think Pachirisu's more important than Ninetales. And
Interesting.
that's not just because of me, but I think Pachirisu is so important because have you actually looked at the fucking numbers of this?
Oh,
The thing is an absolute wall.
what, Pachirisu?
Uh, Yeah, it beats shit that it shouldn't beat.
Like what? What's the beat that it shouldn't be?
You're beating the fire types, you know what I mean?
But why shouldn't it? Why shouldn't it?
You're beating ground moves. You beat well. I'm saying the fire types because you think magma, Ninetales, learn Scorching Sands.
Mm-hmm.
Rapid, in fact, Rapidash does Rapidash learn Scorching Sands now? I know it learns Drill
Rapidash
Run.
drill run. Okay, okay. So I did look at this matchup, particularly Pachirisu versus Ninetales,
Yeah.
and I believe that Devon has or PB Poker has Ninetales running Ember, but
Hmm.
actually, if you put Fire Spin on it, I'm pretty sure Ninetales wins the ones straight weather ball.
Okay,
I don't
that's
think you need.
interesting.
I don't think you need
I
to
know
compare.
Ember became fashionable, didn't it?
Yeah.
About a year or so ago when who was it who used it in World Championships and
Was
everyone's
it
like,
was it
"Ooh,
was it
it's got Ember!"
was it King or Cindy or both of them? I think.
Yeah, and it just
Um.
became this like, yeah,
Yeah.
hard
But
on thing.
yeah. But this is it, right? So I think I don't know. Like the way I see it is like Ninetales is my best answer to Pachirisu, or is a reliable answer to Pachirisu that nothing's going to come in on and really take the piss out of. Lapras and Stormy may do, because if you think people are running Psywave on those things, you're wrong, because people are going to run Water Gun on those, or and if they're not, they should be, and they're wrong. So
Do you really think water gun's the way?
yeah,
Because Psywave's so fast.
yeah, but Psywave's doing resisted damage to Psychics. Water Gun is unresisted here,
Mm, yeah, yeah,
and then
I
you've
get that.
got
I get that. But when you're facing the electric type, surely that you need that quickness to the charge moves to hit them really fucking hard.
you're probably
Because
you're losing to the electric types anyway. The good ones, the good ones.
mm,
So I just don't see. Yeah. So I don't know. I feel like
because you know what I think is the best answer to Pachirisu
go on.
here. It is one of my picks that I'm going to talk about, which is Pokédex number 738,
Okay.
which is the premium electric bug, Vikavolt,
Okay.
Mudslap.
Okay.
It's a bag of shit.
Yep.
But do you know what? In the zeros, actually, you're getting 50% wins. You're picking up some big guys. Having X scissor is nice, sort of,
Mm-hmm.
and you've got to fill out your team with another fucking couple of mons. And I think Vikavolt could do that because it's got that mud slap damage, and you can. What's Patrice really?
No.
It's bulky, but it's not really hitting you. You can
But
just keep on going.
well, that's the issue with Pachirisu, and actually one of my mons I've picked for a similar reason to you've picked Vikaball. Um, but can you honestly sit here and tell me that in a cup where everyone's going to bring Ninetales every game, that you want to bring a book type? Even though it gets Blood Slap, it gets absolutely destroyed, annihilated by Ninetales.
And this is a very Devon thing. This is a very Devon problem because we didn't have this in Sylph because you'd bring nine tails. I go back to what was the one with all the colours? Prismatic.
Yeah,
Prismatic. And every fucker and their dog was using Talonflame.
Talonflame, Ferrothorn, and Lantern was the core, wasn't it? I want to say.
And I just didn't want to use Talonflame.
Mm-hmm.
So I used Sunny Castform.
Yeah,
And Sunny Castform's actually good here, does a lot of good things. Does a lot of good things. Um, you're just not going to have that here. People are not going to use Sunny Castform. People are just going to use Ninetales.
Ninetales. Yeah.
Yeah.
So for me, this cut becomes about.
Depressing as fuck.
I know. So for me, this cut becomes about how do you beat Ninetales
Hmm.
without opening up massive holes for the rest of your team.
Hmm.
And so I'll introduce my one. We can't. We don't have to be done talking about Vicar Vault, but I'm gonna respond to your Vicar Vault with. I've got the Pokedex numbers on my phone because I knew that was important to you. Uh,
You can't just open Pokemon Go and check up Pokedex numbers.
well, the thing is, this is one I should have known because it's Pokedex number 26 and it's Raichu, but I want the
Hmm.
Alolan version.
Hmm.
Um, um, I don't know what fast move I'd run on it. I'd have to look at the Sims. I think the temptation is to say Volt Switch is always the best move when you have something like Volt Switch, but I think in neutral cups like this, speed is more important. And if Spark or Thundershock gets you to something 2 turns faster, okay, well I don't think Spark would, but if Thundershock gets to
But
you,
Thundershock, actually, I totally forgot it had Thundershock.
yeah,
Um, Thundershock could get you to that Surf. I'm
yeah.
assuming it's Surf that you were thinking, or were you
Well,
thinking Psychic?
I don't know. I'm thinking definitely Trailblaze, and then probably Surf, but maybe Psychic. I think
Because
because no,
you don't need the debuff, really. You don't need the.
no, and if you Trailblaze, if I fucking love Raichu, always have done ever since right at the beginning of GBL when it was like a good counter to Skarmory, Medicham, Azumarill. Whenever I can use Alolan Raichu, I do. Um, this it beats Pachirisu. I think you have to shield once, which is kind of weird. But if you go Trailblaze and then either Surf or Psychic, you'll beat Pachirisu. Yes, you may end up a shield down, but then you're hitting them with boosted Volt Switches and potentially another Surf, right? And a boosted
Hmm.
Surf. So you're going to struggle to get anything in coming in after that. Um,
Apart from Bike Vault.
apart from
Just
Basketball.
say, just saying.
Yeah, yeah. Apart from Basketball. Uh, but so it kind of it is it's a soft Pachirisu answer. Not quite, same as Ninetales is a soft Pachirisu answer. Vikavolt is a
Mm.
hard Pachirisu answer, but has the flaws.
Hmm.
Alolan Ninetales has the flaw in that it's absolutely gets wrecked by Watergun, Lapras, and Starmie. Whether people want to bring that is another matter. We have different thoughts on that. Um, this is a softer um, Pachirisu answer that doesn't really have a flaw apart from those weird mud slapping guys.
Mm.
So, and it has coverage to hit everything. Either hard, like Surf will hit everything hard here,
Hmm.
or Trailblaze, and particularly with Volt Switch rather than Thundershock, or even Spark. Right, I think Spark's the same as Volt Switch energy wise, but it might get you there 2 turns faster, but doesn't hit as hard. So,
Mm.
yeah, I think there's really interesting things that could happen with a Logan Raichu. And really importantly, actually, in cups like this, it resists stab damage from 2 of the types here.
I mean, one of the scary things about Alola Raichu, though, and I get what you say, it was the stab damage and stuff like that. It's it's pretty paper thin,
It's bulkier than Vikavolt.
is it?
Oh yeah.
Okay, I'll take your word for it.
This is right. If this was one of the days where I used to edit these videos, I'd put up a 2 minutes later SpongeBob scene while we're checking out PV Poke. But we both know that's not going to happen. So uh, I'll just
Yeah.
try. I'll just yeah. It's a lot bulkier than well, maybe not a lot, but you tell me. You're probably looking at it now, I guess.
No, no, no. I was looking at. I have an off meta pick, a really, really freaking weird off meta pick,
Go on then.
which I actually like. It doesn't beat. It only just not beats Alolan Raichu.
Right. What's that then?
So yeah,
Oh,
again,
you don't have to tell me.
no, no. Looking at
Yeah,
spice, and
yeah.
this is purely spice, and just to be a dick, and just because you can be a dick, and you want to be a dick, and things like that. I was looking at Magby.
Okay.
Magby nearly beats Alolan Raichu. In fact, And when you actually start looking at the stuff that Magby beats in the two shields, it's freaking phenomenal. Do you know what I mean? Don't think it'll beat a water gun Lapras, but it beats a Psywave Lapras,
Sure.
which I thought was really fucking cool.
Yeah.
Um, and just because I've got a hundo and I was like, it goes to 1496, and I'm like, yeah, you know what? Beats Rapidash, beats Talonflame, beats Lapras, beats Magmar. Go for it. Let's have some fun with that. Um, but no, it doesn't beat Alolan Raichu, so that's kind of ruined that
But while
sort of.
you've so while you've been talking about that, I've looked up. So Vikavolt stat total is about 1550, and Alolan Raichu is about 1650. So
Quite a
Vikavolt,
big difference.
yeah, quite a big difference. Yeah, like 100 points at 2000 plus is a small difference. 100 points at 1550 is a big difference.
There's a big difference.
Yeah, so just on
Yeah.
that, but just on this whole point of coming back to the Ninetales, the Ninetales Pachirisu core, there is one on that resists both electric and fire off the top of my head. There may be more, but there's certainly one, which is Rotom Heat.
Which
Uh,
is what? Sorry.
Rotom Heat form, the fire one that looks like the oven. And it gets Astonish. Um,
Is that even out?
I think so.
Are you sure?
I'm not at all sure. I know Rotom Wash is out, the water one.
Rotom Wash is out. The fan one's out, and the
Is it?
lawnmower one.
Is it?
The lawnmower one was like a. So only came out one event. I think Greenie's got one.
Well, Rotom Heat is on PvPoke, right? So I assume it's out. Or maybe I'm making that up. I don't know.
Maybe I don't play as much as I really should, and
Well, I certainly don't. But
I I mean I think I play more than you. I bet you've done more GBL than me,
I haven't even got my rewards from last GBL season yet.
haven't you?
No.
Wow, that's oh
Let's have a look. Do I have a Rotom?
no, I've got the freezer one,
Okay, yeah.
and
No,
I've
I
got the water one,
okay.
and I've got the normal one.
But
I don't think Rotom heats out.
okay. Well, even if it were, this is what my point is going to be. Even if it were out, it doesn't beat Pachirisu or Ninetales convincingly because it's just too slow to charge moves. It doesn't have the
Hmm.
bulk. This is about bulk and speed, or ridiculous power and speed. And you need to be a lot more powerful than you do need to be bulky. Like
Hmm.
you need if you drop 10% in bulk, like you need to pick up a lot more power than 10% to make up for that.
Hmm.
I think like I have no numbers or anything to back that up. That's just a gut feeling. Um, and something like Rotom, even with a really good unresisted fast move, resisting both stabs from Ninetales and Pachirisu, still wouldn't beat them. So you've got to be looking at real specific stuff here.
Yeah,
So, the more I say it, I don't know. It depends what sort of.
but again, we said this right at the beginning, and it was something that I found frustrating. And you've admitted yourself that this is Devon.
System.
This is Devon. It has been the same every cup.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just a lot more honest this time about being that of these two are unbeatable.
Do you know what pisses me off? Right, like, okay, yes, you've gone for a really neutral cup. That's what you do, right? That's what Devon does. Clearly, with the amount of times he's done normal water poison. And yes, this isn't normal water poison, but look at the amount of things you've had to ban to keep this even remotely neutral. And like, shouldn't that be an indication that this is not a good idea? The amount of things you've had to ban, and like even thinking back, we've had loads of well, not loads. We've had plenty of Silph Cups that have been fairly neutral, like Sorcerer's Cup, where you
Hmm.
ended up with like was that ice, poison, normal, fighting, fairy? I don't know, but like that was like Medicham, Alolan Muck, Frostlass, Licky Tongue,
Yeah.
Celio. That was fantastic. That was neutral. But
Hmm.
what Devon is just so terrified, and obviously counter is not what it wants, not what it once was. Devon is so terrified of, I think, charm, counter, raise a leaf. Like I
Does that not speak to you about maybe that people in the meta team don't want to lose to average players because they've got into a bad matchup and been charmed down? And they want to rely on the fact that I know my counts, I can learn 10 counts a month.
quite
I
possibly,
can learn I can learn this and I will beat you.
quite possibly, but I think it really speaks more to the idea of they have such a narrow view of what neutral or balance is, because you could have
Well, there's
like
the difference, isn't it? It's neutral or balance.
right, but you could have. So do you remember season one? It might have been before you started. We had Rainbow, which was
I
fire,
do
water,
remember Rainbow.
grass, electric bug.
I do
No,
remember Rainbow
no,
because
definitely
Vesper Cream was awesome.
no, different one. This was the one where it was only Gen 1 and 2 Pokemon.
Oh right,
Uh,
okay.
and
I did play Rainbow though.
yeah, maybe it was in something we did outside of Sylph. It was maybe this was something we did on STT or something. But Rainbow was so it was fire, water, grass, electric bug. And on the face of it, that's something that Devon would never touch with a barge pole
Hmm.
because it's RPS, and if those types don't work well with one another. But actually, what happened was you ended up with a situation where it was balanced because you had Quagsire and Mantine. And this was
Hmm.
before Gyarados got Aquatail. So if you did it now, you'd have Gyarados. Now you'd have Zapdos in there as well. Now you'd have Jump Off. Now Jump Off's better. Like the game, it does balance out around some things typically that aren't any of the types you've included because of the way the type
Hmm.
system works. So like that cup worked out around ground and flying types because that's what balances things. They're what can take on huge chunks of the meta. Like it's almost becomes secondary to like here's what we're giving you, and that will create this what is good. It's almost like Devon is scared of allowing that here's what is good to happen. And it's like here's what we're giving you, and it's so fucking small. This is what's going to be good, and you're going to use that, right? It's almost like
Hmm.
it just feels like there's a level of fear of letting the meta go beyond what exactly they want it to do.
Which is disappointing.
Seriously disappointing.
Yeah,
Yeah, and it's
but that's
tough.
what. Yeah,
Having been on the meta team for Sylph season 5, like I was heavily involved in Nayad Cup, right? And I completely forgot that Tackle got buffed, and so it completely when it came out and people started running double normal with Munchlax and was it Miltank the other one people were using both with
yeah.
Tackle. I was like, oh shit, this is unfortunate, but there was still enough there so that it was like yeah, you could run it, but it wasn't the be all and end all. You could choose to run it. You were a scumbag, and that was on you, right? What Devon does, it's like it sometimes forces you into that place, and you have no choice if you want to be competitive, and that makes Devon the bad guys.
Yeah,
They're not letting it grow. They're not letting it develop.
yeah. That harps back to what I was saying earlier, though, about is it the player base? Is it Devon? Is it a mixture of everything? Are the people playing just content with doing what they're told and conforming and going, well, I want to be competitive, so I've got to pick the top three mons in the meta and being afraid to go out and pick a Magby because fuck it.
Mm.
Fuck you, I'm going to pick Vikavolt. Yeah, do you know what? I'm going to RPS the shit out of you because if you bring in a fucking Alolan Raichu against me and I swap into my Vikavolt, I'm going to have that much fucking energy that I'm going to hit you with two flies no matter what you walk into
But
afterwards.
so here's the thing, right? I'm gonna put another Raichu on my team, but I'm just
Mhm.
gonna back it up with a few neutral Pokemon so that if I run into a Vikavolt player, I just don't need to use another Raichu.
You're just going to
So
come straight in with.
I'll just run my Ninetales, my Galarian Slowbro, and something else, right?
So you think Bro over King?
Yeah, because
I think King's good here.
it
I
is.
think
I think they're both
King's
good,
got to, King's got Surf.
but Bro's got fast,
No,
fast.
you're running them both. You're both running them both with acid, mate.
No,
Yeah, acid's good now.
no, yeah, I'm sure it is, but
Acid's like really good now. It's fun.
we'll come back. We'll take a break, and I'll tell you exactly why I'm not running acid on
Okay,
with my next mon.